You
Don't
got
let
to
your
go
dreams be
dig
dreams.
those hoes.
Oh, we're singing now, X-Ray.
Two suits, two tokens in hand. I got no respect cause I'm the new man. Got my shovel, shoes full of sand. Check out the tag, the name is Caveman.
No, what are you waiting for?
How? 2003, I'm with Even Steve, Sigourney Weave, and the Data Jolie. Got a Buster Scrub, girl, where's my hug? Fonz is the dad, that's too damn bad! Boulay Hill, sipping sploosh like Douce Chill, the onion merchant, handyman. He died before he could get that handyman.
Want some Splooge?
Take it out, dig it. Take it out,
Ow!
take it out, dig it. Take it out,
Ow!
Take a bad boy, make him dig 5 feet. The dirt in these shovels will get us a beat. Okay, you gotta find something.
Maybe zoom in, I'm about to start crying.
If not, we'll just have to dig some more.
My buddy went down there. He's like,
Digging up.
all good, come down here, man.
Today we are here to talk about the 2003 classic adaptation of the children's novel Holes by Louis Satcher.
Is it Satcher? Sakar?
Scario.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
He's an author. You read his name. You don't say it.
Eloquently described on Wikipedia as a neo-Western comedy drama.
When I think neo-Western, I feel like they're talking about like Westworld, not like fucking
Yeah.
Holes.
Well, we were talking off camera, and we agreed that it's just it being a family movie aimed at all ages just trumps the genre, really. Like,
Yeah.
you can't go really into the elements of genre because then you can't show it to all audiences.
Because this isn't really like it's not really a comedy. It's not really that dramatic. It's a little dramatic. It's just like family vibes.
Yeah,
They're just watch this.
all in the family.
Yeah, watch us all with the fam.
Director Andrew Davis chose to direct Holes to show that he was capable of making more than just action films such as The Fugitive and Collateral Damage and Under Siege. And he encouraged author Louis Satcher to participate in the production and adapt the novel into a screenplay. To break down the novel's action into a film, Davis and Satcher storyboarded over 100 scenes on 3x5 note cards. Each of them had a specific time allotment, and when they went through them, they would say, now you rewrite this card and make it a half minute. This one should take 3 minutes, this one should take 1 minute, and so on. So it seems like they were breaking down, in the process of adapting, they were breaking things down.
You got to break it down like that
to make it fit into more of a movie traditional narrative.
I do like how they had the author actually write the screenplay because it definitely because it just makes it because they know the source material better than anyone. If they cut it something from the book, you can't be mad. It's the fucking author doing it.
Yeah, because the pacing of a novel versus a book is way different. The lens, the scope, and who you are entering the story as. I don't know how Holes is written specifically. Are you in the? I think inside the mind of a Stanley Yelnats?
I think you are, but I also think like it seems like the sequences in the movie that are flashing back to like the old times. I feel like it's definitely just better in the book because they're not really doing anything at the camp a lot of the time until they have to.
Yeah,
until they literally have to. So it's just fleshing out a bunch of backstory. Why is that camera? What is it beeping?
Is it Sacker or Stager?
Let's look it up. Respect for the author. Quick note. Now that he's become a popular author of children's books, teachers all over the country are pronouncing his name wrong. It should be pronounced Sacker, like someone who tackles quarterbacks or someone who stuffs potatoes into sacks.
It's a job?
A sacker?
Oh yeah.
I was a sacker for a few months.
All right, so before Sacker was hired, Richard Kelly was given the job to write the screenplay. His draft was notoriously diverging from the source material and had a darker post-apocalyptic take with sci-fi elements. Kelly admitted he was naive and was told by production staff that he was insane before being booted off the film.
I agree. That's an insane thing to take the source material and make it a sci-fi.
Yeah, take the source material that is a neo-Western comedy drama and add sci-fi post-apocalyptic elements to it and make it darker.
I see what he's going for, I guess. Like, the camp is some crazy sci-fi thing, but it's like, that's so far away from the source material. What the hell is Richard Kelly, like, is he the Donnie Darko guy? It is the Donnie Darko guy. That guy is a fraud.
No wonder the script
is a fraud. That guy is a fraud.
I thought the screenplay for Donnie Darko was laughably bad.
I like Donnie Darko, but I feel like I watched it when I was an impressionable youth, and I feel like that's a big teenager watches that movie and they're like, holy shit.
It's so
this is deep.
edgy and gross.
But like,
but I can see how in 2003 he was a hot ticket.
This guy has only clunkers.
Yeah.
You ever see The Box with Cameron Diaz?
No.
That's him. Southland Tales. Oh yeah, that's Richard Kelly. I feel like that was a terrible move to hire him to write a kid's book.
Yeah, I wouldn't say this screenplay as we see it is good anyway, but
it's fine.
That sounds like I would like to read, because they called him insane and fired him. So I would love to see what was written in that.
That is interesting. I wonder if we could find that. You think anyone's ever wondered, Richard Kelly?
He probably wants that thing buried. So when looking to find a child actor to play Stanley, Davis asked for an actor like a young Tom Hanks, which is mad funny because it's like you're looking for a basketball player and you're like, just get me Michael Jordan too. Actually, that would be cool. Someone who's both charming and an everyman and good looking and funny and can
charismatic. Everyone likes him.
He has everything and he seemingly has nothing at the same time.
I'd say Shia, I guess, accomplishes what they need. It doesn't really have a lot to do until the ending of the movie, though.
Yeah, we have a question a little bit like this later on, overarching Shia question. But, yeah, in 2003, if you're looking at prospects like they're basketball players, he's a five-tool athlete as a
Shia is as a prospect?
Actor, yeah.
Do you think he was getting LeBron?
I guess that's a baseball thing, actually. But 5 tools. He had all the tools.
He was maybe getting, some Carmelo hype around him, and then there was maybe another actor who was LeBron at the time.
Yeah, perhaps. Perhaps we'll get to him right now. Shia LaBeouf was cast because Frankie Muniz turned down the role due to his commitment on Agent Cody Banks' sliding glass doors moment. Is this movie better with Shia, or this movie better with Frankie, and is Agent Cody Banks better with Shia?
Agent Cody Banks would be just a completely different movie. It wouldn't have the cheesy schlockiness as much, I think, if Shia did it.
I don't like Shia playing like a smart, cunning guy. I like him playing more of a buffoon. He was kind of like I feel like we don't see him play buffoons that much. Even in Disturbia, he was kind of... This guy's closer to buffoon, though.
Stanley?
Yeah.
Stanley's kind of just like a chill-ass dude.
Yeah.
he really is like a vibes guy.
He seems way too okay with everything.
He's too okay with everything, and he just doesn't even plead his case to anyone ever. He's just like, it's the Yelnats curse. What are you going to do? It's just like, what?
Yeah. But in hindsight, to choose between Muniz and LaBeouf at the time is like choosing between, I don't know, I should have had something ready there.
In a Tom Hanksy way, Frankie Muniz probably gives more of that than Shia would. I don't think Shia really gives a Tom Hanks type vibe at all.
Yeah, no. The point is, no one does.
Yeah, no one.
There's a reason Tom Hanks is Tom Hanks.
I think Shia was probably the best casting at the time. I don't really know the child actors of that era.
Landscape. In the original book, Stanley is depicted as obese, shedding considerable weight as the book progresses. The filmmakers chose to drop this aspect from the movie as they believed it would have been difficult to convincingly portray the weight loss in a live-action film. I would have loved for them to have Shia wear a fat suit and then slowly shed the fat suit.
Probably just would have looked bad in 2003.
It would have made the movie better, I feel.
I agree. Because then you would see, he's legitimately losing weight. Because they don't really... I don't know. There's nothing really going on at the camp other than there's digging holes and there's not a lot of
It's not a camp. It's like a internment camp.
And no, it's like a prison. It's supposed to be a prison camp, technically. This is the their alternative to prison.
Yeah.
Oh, that would have been cool. Or maybe if they did anything to show the passage of time or something. But I guess it doesn't matter how long he's been there in the movie. Like if he came there and his hair was short and then he had like a little afro in the sun, that would have been a cool little touch. But it doesn't matter.
I mean, in the book, I'm sure you actually know, but in the movie, we don't really know how long he was there for of his 18-month sentence.
Yeah, because
really bad passage of time shown in the movie because it's also hopping back and forth, so we literally have no idea.
It seems like we're with them at the camp for like a week.
Yeah.
Like, it seems like Shia's really not there long at all.
There should have been like a Christmas scene where it's their Christmas there.
Like how in Harry Potter,
Here's
there's
a new
always Christmas
shovel.
scene.
Yeah. Here's a new shovel, you idiot. Buster Scruggs throws him a shovel.
Hit Zero on top of the head with this fucking idiot, this fucking moron.
So Labeouf was simultaneously doing work on the Disney Channel show Even Stevens and worked on the film after taping Even Stevens. It's depicted in the 2019 film Honey Boy, and that's just very strenuous work for a child actor.
Just how it is as a child actor, unfortunately.
Going from Even Stevens to Holes, that is pretty iconic 2000s. He was
hitting
labor.
it. He was hitting it. Yeah.
He was doing it for us. He was doing it for us.
And it's not even like the set of Holes. They're in the fucking desert too. He's shooting like just on some Disney set, and then it's like, all right, we got to go to a California desert right now, Shia.
Yeah, he's filming on a Disney set, and Lewis is his name in the show, right?
Yeah, Louis Stevens.
He is doing. There's ridiculous stuff happening to him all the time. He's getting like cake thrown in his face.
Very slapstick, Even Stevens.
And then he goes from that to then being a slave.
Yeah. Probably actually having him dig holes when he's shooting.
Yeah, because he's method.
It's actually just like the camp at Camp Green Lake is kind of like a metaphor for how we treat child actors. How they take advantage of them for riches that the child can't even have themselves.
Yeah, and how John Voight and Buster Scruggs really, really love hurting children.
Love hurting children, and Sigourney Weaver just wants the children to die, I think, is what they want out of this.
Yeah, this is the prequel to Prometheus, which is the prequel to Alien, which is the prequel to Alien.
Well, Holes is the prequel to Alien.
Yeah, it's also in the same universe.
As Alien?
Yes,
and
Buster Scruggs becomes Predator. And
this is the extended Holes universe. Is Holes, Aliens, Alien versus Predator,
and Buster Scruggs.
And Buster Scruggs.
Yes, that's all canon. I found that on Wikipedia. So where does Shia LaBeouf rank among child actors? We were talking about it a little off camera, but
so now that we were talking about off camera, but now that I think about it, he really kind of fully got into the scene when he was probably in his 20s.
Yeah,
because this is Even Stevens. He was doing Even Stevens and Holes. Very iconic things though that he was doing.
Yeah,
especially for people our age.
In movies and television as well.
Movies and television. What else was he in?
Disturbia, Eagle Eye. You're right though. He's getting older at that point.
Was there a movie he was in where he wasn't the main character, but he was playing like a bratty kid kind of sidekick?
Isn't he in like iRobot and like?
It was probably iRobot.
Constantine.
Yeah, he was probably doing shit like that.
Yeah,
I do think he's pretty good. And The Greatest Game Ever Played, that's probably a good golf movie.
Yeah, that's like him
flick.
Carrying like a good family movie.
That's probably like one of his better ones. I do like Shia though. I think he has kind of like the it thing when he was like a kid.
Yeah, we were mentioning in the Disturbia episode. He has the charm.
It's just like when a kid actor is really good, they seem like an adult. They're just like an adult.
Well, that's what we were saying about. Well, we were saying Haley Joel Osment would be like top 5 draft pick. So would Macaulay Culkin. Macaulay Culkin is like what you're just describing. Extremely charming, speaks like an adult, and he just like has the swagger of a charming like leading man as a child. It's very weird.
I feel like he just acts like when he was a kid how he did in Home Alone. Like I could just see him being like smart and just acting like that, like Kevin all the time.
I don't know. Muniz might edge out LaBeouf.
I agree. Muniz did a lot more at the time.
Because Big Fat Liar, Agent Cody Banks, Malcolm in the Middle. Malcolm in the Middle is a far better show than Even Stevens.
It's like a legitimate sitcom. Even Stevens is kids. Malcolm in the Middle. It's like people will watch that now and say that's a really good show.
Yeah,
he was doing a lot more. Frankie Muniz.
I will say though, the character of Lewis and what Shia was asked to do he was kind of asked to carry the show.
He was the show. 100%.
Malcolm in the Middle is the titular character, but it's your Reese, it's your Dewey, it's your Hal. It's not really all the funny stuff that happens in Malcolm in the Middle has nothing to do with Malcolm.
He's not necessarily being the funny one.
No.
But he doesn't have to. He's like the straight man of the show. That's like the
he's
point,
like the
I
Jason
guess.
Bateman in Arrested Development.
Yeah, that's the point, because he's the kid and he's the smartest one, so he's going to be the straight man. But he does good. Malcolm in the Middle's good from what I've seen.
Yeah.
Definitely better than even Stevens. I think Shia LaBeouf's a better actor.
I can 100% agree
As a
with
kid,
that.
he's a better actor, but Frankie Muniz just had it. I don't know. He just
That's
could
the
do
funny
it.
thing is, Shia LaBeouf was the one on Disney Channel, but Frankie Muniz is like more of like a Disney Channel actor where he doesn't like act, he just is Frankie Muniz.
Yeah.
Shia LaBeouf like is an actor,
Yeah.
but he started on the Disney Channel.
Which a lot, I mean, that's how you see a lot of celebrities starting off on Disney Channel. Frankie Muniz, I just think, I mean, he had like health issues and stuff, so him growing up, I feel like he just couldn't. Same thing happened to Haley Joel Osment. They just stay kid looking.
And Macaulay Culkin.
And Macaulay Culkin, but he does some stuff. Well, Macaulay Culkin was like a drug addict. And,
Yeah.
like he was troubled for a while.
Jesus Christ. For the yellow spotted lizards, 14 bearded dragons were used, 4 of which were used for the main parts, and the rest were used as background atmospheric lizards. Now, how is a lizard a good actor?
They were probably the best ones in the movie.
You were saying that you think that some of them were more docile or would just listen, or if placed, they would just kind of stay
Yeah, the
there.
lizards crawling on them, they were trained actors. Crawling on Zero and Shia, they're just trained. They knew exactly what they were doing.
Yeah.
The other ones, like they said, they're just background lizards. They're just background pieces.
And in our research, we were kicking around top lizards in movies.
Didn't really have much. Didn't have much here.
Well, we came out with Gext. It's a PlayStation 1 game, not a movie at all. Never
then-
even seen in a TV show as well.
Randall from Monsters, Inc.
That counts.
He's literally the lizard.
It's not a real animal, but it counts.
He's a lizard. Godzilla.
Yeah. We
And-
came up with a couple more.
Mushu.
Oh, Mushu clears. Mushu is number 1. But even then, he's a dragon. So
Easily.
if dragons are
lizards.
lizards. All right, then Donkey's wife.
Smaug.
Smaug. Yeah, shout out Smaug. Smaug actually might be the coolest character.
He's probably the best. I mean, the first Hobbit movie is the best one, but Smaug's the best part of the last two, which suck.
Yeah.
Oh,
I think there was
lizards.
one more funny one.
I mean, we saw Kermit. They had Kermit on the list of lizards, and that's disrespectful.
Shout out Kermit.
Yeah, shout out Kermit as always. Seems like there's more amphibians that are like famous, not necessarily lizards.
Oh yeah, the amphibian man from the Guillermo del Toro film, The Shape of Water.
Oh yeah, the amphibian man, the Ninja Turtles.
He's the only one that has sex on screen. So,
Has Kermit not banged on screen?
well, nothing on a licensed Muppet movie, but I've seen a couple on Pornhub that I can send you.
Let's do.
All right, we got to talk about a couple things. The Dule Hill, I can fix that.
I can fix that.
Has transcended pop culture and is on every social media app.
Yeah.
And just kind of became a meme. What about it? Like, why is it a meme?
I mean, it's a very emphasized line in the movie where he's like, "I can fix that." So
Yeah.
it's like, and it came at a very dramatic point when he said it, because it was like Patricia Arquette saw his ghost and he was like, "I can fix that," and it was very nice.
So is it a mix of it being cheesy? Is it a mix of Dule's line reading of the line?
I thought he read it well.
Okay, so you're saying it's not a cheesy line.
I don't really think it's that cheesy. I just think it's like that's too damn bad. Just those are very quotable, iconic, just things from the script. Like where really they're not saying anything.
I'm tired of this, Grandpa.
When you hear that, if you're not looking at the screen, if you turn your body around, play 5 minutes of Holes, and that scene is in there, you'd be like, what the fuck? You'd turn around and look at it because it's just insane. The line reading is absolutely insane. Have to mention, what's his name?
Stephen Plank.
Stephen Plank passed away like right before the movie came out. He never got to see the memification of his most iconic scene, which is a little tragic.
I feel like that is pretty sad, but he played a pretty shitty character in the movie, so
Yeah.
No, rest in peace, Stephen Planktober.
Yeah, he's with Gahul looking down, happy at the memification.
I would say, I think the memification of the "that's too damn bad," that's just a funny line. But I think
it's sonically sharp. You're like, oh, what
I
the
think
hell?
with like the memification of things, especially with our generation, there's the memification and then there's the gifification.
Yeah.
They make a gif.
Yeah.
We watched Dumb and Dumber yesterday. Like, there's so many shits like, oh, I know that as a gif. I can fix that as a gif people post on Twitter. It's a reaction image that enforces the quote to be just remembered in your head.
Yeah, I think in part it's because I can fix that's repeated a couple times.
Yeah, I think he says it like 2
If it
or
was
3
once,
times.
maybe not, but it's like his catchphrase.
Yeah.
And then he just dies.
I think there's, we were saying when we were watching, I just like Dule Hill because I'm a psycho, if you will.
And you love all things onions, and he's an onion merchant.
You like onions too. Play the Shrek clip from Halloween.
Gross, right? Does the time-jumping narrative take away from the Shia narrative, and does that make his characterization in the film less compelling to you?
Yes, but he wasn't doing anything at the... Like, they didn't have him do anything at the camp to develop his character when they weren't flashing back to that stuff.
That's what was shocking to me on this rewatch as well, is my memory of the Shia LaBeouf character was way more funny or smart or compelling. Yeah. There's an arc for his family.
He doesn't grow as a character.
He doesn't change, really. He doesn't need to change because Stanley's just a good guy in the beginning that's misunderstood and wrongfully convicted.
Yeah. He really has zero has character development.
Yeah.
But, like, Shia really is just consistent throughout the film. He's the same guy. He doesn't throw a fit. He's just, like, kind of a good vibes guy.
And in a book, that's fine because I'm sure the narratives are all fleshed
inner
out.
monologues and stuff where he's, like, thinking probably in the book.
But as a movie, as the main character, I kind of was appalled by the lack of character in the characterization of the main character.
Like, I think they gave more to Zero. John Voight had so much more, like, character acting and work, I feel like, to do compared to, like, what the main character of the book is doing.
Well, John Voight was my favorite part of the movie.
Yeah, I agree.
That was the most... I was pleasantly surprised. There's a lot of physicality to the performance. He kind of transformed into Mr. Sir.
I thought that he was really good, honestly.
And him, in part with Tim Blake Nelson, provide the comedic levity of the movie, and it works every time for me. I was giggling.
I liked them all. I thought Tim Blake Nelson was a little too mean, though. A little too mean to Zero.
Yeah.
Like, he was, like, being nice, but they're all just dickheads, those people.
Yeah, that's the thing is, I like laughing along with them as idiots, but then once they seriously are considering killing the children, I'm like, I don't really like him anymore.
They weren't going to kill... Oh, were they? Were they actually going to shoot him at the end? Probably. They probably would have.
They're definitely going to leave Zero for dead on purpose.
Oh, yeah. They said, hey, he'll fucking die. Destroy his records.
But yeah, so I guess that closes that. There's going to be there was talks even last spring of a potential TV series for Disney Plus because that stupid-ass streaming service needs a show to run into a different show for the entire year. And they don't care. They've already ruined We Have Thoughts classic National Treasure, the legacy of that film franchise.
They're ruining Star Wars, I feel like, as well. Not a Star Wars guy, but I would be pissed.
I am. A little problem with movies set in the desert here. Do you think that the lack of diverse sets make the visual language of the film uninteresting or monotone?
You know what? No, but I think they were doing too much to cover that up. Like, I think it was a lot of the fades and cuts and flashbacks. It didn't make me necessarily tired of the setting, but it made me tired of what they were doing to cover up, like, being, like, in the desert too much.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
So you thought you could see how they were pigeonholed and trying to get out of it?
Yeah, because, like, they're like, all right, we can't just have them in the desert,
yeah,
like, the whole entire time. We have to have cutting action throughout, which is probably why they had the flashbacks throughout, because it wasn't a desert in the flashbacks until after Dule died.
Yeah, Dule died. I feel like this is an unfair thing to throw on a movie that's set in the desert. And what I'm about to say is super unfair to compare to this movie, but, like, No Country for Old Men and There Will Be Blood, like, desert movies that are just fantastic.
Yeah, that's completely
Unforgiven. I mean, most Westerns I mean,
Yeah.
are tasked with this challenge.
And I don't even think it's necessarily that big of a challenge. Like, it's just where it's set. Unless they're just doing long, drawn-out shots of them outside, it wasn't that visually boring, I don't think.
Well, yeah, it's tough because if scene after scene after scene is just visually looking the same in the background, it makes the movie seem a little more boring. It might drag in some places. It might seem like it's dragging in some places, even though it's just not visually intriguing. And the dissolves and the fades were way too much for me in this movie. I love them as well, normally.
I like the dissolves. I do remember the first one, you're like, and then they kept doing it, and they kept doing the low FPS slow-mo, which is...
We didn't like that at all.
I think that's a staple, not a staple, but just a product of the time.
Yeah.
I think that was a big thing a lot of movies did. It just looks...
Well, it's almost like
weird.
you're watching a documentary.
Yeah.
They do that a lot in like archival footage of documentaries because they don't have enough footage. But when you're shooting a movie, you're shooting the footage, so you just shoot it.
It seemed like sometimes they just used the slow motion because they didn't have a long enough shot of the actor originally.
Yeah, that's what you were saying, and I don't doubt that.
Because there was a scene where Zero was just going like, I feel like just going, and it was in slow motion. Like, why is that in slow? They just have to, but it's like not a cool. It's just like laggy. It's like their camera's bad.
Yeah, I completely agree. But that's all I have for production. I don't know if you have any lingering thoughts about Gex or lizards or...
No, not really. I think the production, there just really isn't too much to this. They dug 400 holes for the production.
I remember being very... I didn't care about like the weird timeline, the backwards timeline with the Venom fucking fingers. This whole thing starts in Green Lake, Texas, where the Yelnats family has been cursed to be unlucky, which they blame on their ancestor Elya's failure to keep a promise to fortune teller Madame Zeroni over a century earlier in Latvia. Shout out Kristaps Porzingis. One day, Stanley Yelnats IV is wrongfully convicted of stealing a pair of sneakers donated to a charity by Rick Fox and is sentenced to 18 months at Camp Green Lake, a juvenile detention camp in lieu of jail time.
Oh,
That's the first little opening establishing the Yelnats family.
Well, I never been to camp before.
Well, I remember we were talking about this. I didn't know they were in Latvia, before at all.
And you Yelnats. It started in a little village in Latvia.
Yeah, I feel like they mentioned it. Obviously, we're talking while we're doing the reaction. That could have just been in Texas.
I always thought that was in America when I was a kid, but they all have accents and they're trading pigs for people. So
were they doing this in this is the early 1900s? You're giving pigs for people's daughters. I feel like there's easier ways to get married, find a girlfriend.
Nah, you gotta train a pig and then carry an elderly wizard up a mountain.
Yeah, there's no rules. You just have...
Pig is a very low bar. I feel like I could acquire a pig pretty easily. It's probably safe to assume it wasn't, but I was 6 years old, so...
It is confusing to me about who... Was that his great-great-grandfather? It was Stanley Yelnats' great-great-grandfather.
It was the first, and he's the fourth, so it'd be...
Great-great.
Yeah.
No. So, fourth is... Yeah.
Yes. Because great-grandfather.
It's the original, then junior, then 3, then 4.
Yeah, it would be Henry Winkler's grandfather is the person we're talking about.
Which, I don't know. It was weird because I was kind of confused. I didn't know it was the same guy, who Patricia Arquette robbed, and it was supposed to be the same guy as the Latvia guy.
Yeah, she lets him live.
And I didn't know that. That's why it was confusing.
That was always confusing to me as well. I definitely did not get that as a child.
No, I just don't think there really needed to be any reason they were in Latvia in the beginning.
So my main problem with this sequence is there's no way Stanley walking down the street, this pair of cleats falls on top of him. There's no way that he would actually have to go to this camp for 18 months, which is a ridiculous amount of time.
Stanley probably legitimately had an alibi. It looked like he was walking home from school, too.
Yeah.
That's not something we have to nitpick too much, but I feel like they could have had
First offender,
Yeah.
a pair of fucking cleats.
Well, it's a pair of signed cleats for the best baseball player that he stole from an orphanage.
Yes, but he didn't.
Yeah, but he didn't, and he was walking like the opposite. He was walking towards the orphanage.
Did they show scenes of like a litigation? Did they not fucking hire a lawyer? Cause
They didn't hire a lawyer. Stanley didn't get to talk.
then how does Zero get put in the camp?
Because he said he got caught stealing shoes the next day from like Payless. That's what he said.
They couldn't connect. They couldn't connect these things.
Well, Zero was probably like he probably didn't say anything about the original shoes.
Who did? What do you mean?
Like Zero probably never even mentioned the Rick Fox shoes, and he probably just got thrown in.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So there was no way they could have known until Stanley said it out loud.
Well, I guess it falls on Stanley. Did he not fight? Did he not say I didn't do this?
Stanley does not fight a single thing. He is very accepting of the universe around him because he's like, it feels like he's like, yeah, I'm cursed, whatever.
Well, the diegetic reason for that, I guess, in the story would be that like his family's so beaten down by being unlucky that might as well not fight it because it's gonna happen.
Yeah, they like accept it pretty much.
Yeah,
but he's going to jail.
So at least a kid, you're taking this first time offender for stealing a pair of shoes out of his family home and inserting him into an internment camp for 18 months, missing a year of school, crucial schooling, your formative years at middle school.
And then it makes no sense. They let Rick Fox take the stand at his trial to berate a little kid, and that's a scene in the movie. Stanley doesn't go, no, I didn't do it, or I'm so sorry. Like, he just eats that. He eats that shit.
Yeah. Yeah, it is ridiculous, but I guess it's a kid's narrative, and I guess like the school, the principal from like Matilda was like mad evil for no reason, and like Little Orphan Annie, the orphanage, is mad evil. So
it seemed like all the adults except for like Patricia Arquette, Dule Hill, and Stanley's parents, everyone else was evil.
Yeah,
every single person,
and they loved it too. They were like getting off on it.
Yeah, like Zero's mom fucking left him in the same spot. She like
that woman's just a bad mother.
She's a terrible mother. Zero says we go to this spot every day. One day she didn't come back, but she's been searching for me for years.
Yeah, and your name is Hector.
No, you're not. Your name's Hector Zeroni. There's not a soul with that name.
Well, also one thing that I do like about the opening of this narrative is one of the first things we see is shoes.
Yeah.
His dad is working on this product for shoes, and then Zero is stealing shoes, so their families are tied together at like every level.
Yeah, they really are, because it seems like it was just fate for them to eventually break the curse. Like, that's what the story is. It's about fate and like your destiny and stuff.
Yeah. And about like how people love feet, and as a foot worshiper myself, that makes me feel very represented in media. The Henry Winkler character is a lot like
that little
me,
freak, freak Henry Winkler in this movie.
If I had the means and the time to have shoes hanging around my house and it smells like feet, I would love that. Well, let's get on.
The product is the antithesis of what you want. He's making a product to make it not smelly anymore.
Yeah, but by proxy, it would smell. You got to know what smells.
Yeah, that is true. That is true.
So let's kick the can down the road here. Or let's put the shovel in the sand.
Yeah, let's get the hilts in the grass.
Let's carry the pig up the creek.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Let's fix the window.
Let's kill the black man for kissing a white lady in the 1900s.
Yep. And let's kill a child as well.
Kill an orphan.
Yeah, kill a dumbass orphan. And have Rick Fox yell at it. Okay, whatever. The camp is in a dried lake bed where rain never falls and venomous yellow-spotted lizards proliferate. Stanley meets Warden Lois Walker, played by Sigourney Weaver, her assistant, Mr. Sir, John Voight.
Angelina Jolie is my daughter. And my son is Nicolas Cage, a national treasure.
And my son-in-law was Brad until Angelina had to ruin it. He's so cool.
I have 4 Haitian grandchildren.
He's the dad in National Treasure?
Yeah.
It doesn't even seem like it. Doesn't even seem like it. He transformed into Mr.
He's got nice old guy. He's got weird old guy.
That's EPA TV's Actor of the Month, John Voight.
And her camp counselor, Dr. Pendansky, which is
Tim Blake,
Nelson, Buster Scruggs. Prisoners known by their nicknames Zero, Zigzag, Armpit, Squid, X-Ray, and Magnet dig holes in the desert daily. They may earn a day off if they find anything inside the holes. Interesting. After Stanley finds a golden lipstick tube initialed KB and a fossil, he's accepted into the group and given the nickname Caveman. When Magnet steals Mr. Sir's bag of sunflower seeds, Stanley takes responsibility and is taken to Walker's cabin. Inside, Stanley discovers old wanted posters and newspapers and realizes KB stands for Catherine Kissin' Kate Barlow, an outlaw his great-grandfather encountered. Walker assaults Mr. Sir for his irrelevant report and allows Stanley to return to work.
And there's a lot in my hole. You could check that.
I will check it.
kind of a bit of nothing there.
It's a little chunk here. So we meet the antagonists of the film, the three people that run this work camp for children.
Yeah, you see Sigourney Weaver is just like the most evil, and
I didn't like this. I don't like how her family history, Zeroni's family history, and Shia's family history are all tied together. I thought that was a little too much.
I think it makes sense because it seems like actually because there's the ties are that Kate Barlow, that's her name, Kate Barlow?
Yeah.
Kissin' Kate. She stole the treasure chest from Stanley's great-grandfather that had Stanley's name on it. So that's how they were intertwined.
Yeah.
And then Sigourney Weaver's dad or grandpa killed Dule Hill, which made it not rain ever in the area. So they're all connected, but it is kind of like just like convenient, I guess.
Yeah, it's almost like a Christopher Nolan screenplay.
Yeah.
It's a little too much. Too bow-tied together.
It is. I think that's nice, though, in the kids' movie. It all comes together nicely.
I do like it, too.
I think it could have had a more epic finale. Like, I think they could have made it more of like a until the end of the movie, like, oh shit, it's all connected. Like, when it happens, it happens. Like, I don't think they should.
What's the problem with the children's narrative as well is you can't leave things up to interpretation. You have to just beat it over the head.
It's not even necessarily interpretation with this movie. It's more about just literacy of like film literacy.
Yeah. Well, and you can't assume that kids have.
Yeah,
that.
exactly. Which I don't know. It's fine for this movie, but I think if they didn't like shoehorn stuff in, like they literally mention when Stanley's carrying Zero up the thing, they have a flashback to Madame Zeroni saying, "You have to carry me up the mountain."
Yeah,
and it's like, okay, everyone knows that.
Another thing that is taught to us in this little section of the movie is Zero, Zigzag, Armpit, X-Ray, Squid, and Magnet. Why the fuck do they have cool-ass Top Gun nicknames?
Yeah,
that's like crazy.
Zero's makes sense. Zigzag, because he's all over the place.
Yeah.
X-Ray, maybe because the thick glasses.
Yeah.
Armpit, because he smells.
I know, but why can't it just be like, oh, that's John and Timmy and Terrence?
Prison nicknames, dude. You would never catch me going by Johnny if I was in prison.
Well, you go by Johnny Sin, or not Johnny Sins.
I would go by the porn star's name.
Yeah, what's the guy for Johnny 23? You go by Johnny 23.
That's even worse. I would not go by Johnny 23.
Because you're that type of guy.
You're that type of guy.
Yeah, it's just some little things, like the whole sunflower sequence. Yeah.
It just shows that...
How does he not hide? They're like a mile away. How does he not hide the sunflower seeds well enough?
I don't know. It was kind of just nothing. It felt weird that they made a big deal about her having the venom in her nails.
Yeah.
Only for it just to be a payoff in the one scene.
Yeah.
Which I think they do, like, tie up all the loose ends pretty good. That's not a loose end, but it's like, why did she have that on her nails?
Yeah, it was extremely psycho.
Because it's not like she is threatening them with her nails at the ending, or like she has like Stanley in like a chokehold that has her nails around his neck or something. Like, I don't know. I feel like they could have done something. It just makes her seem like crazy and evil. I think that's the point of that.
Yeah, there was no callback to it later in the film, which I think there should have been as well.
That's just a weird thing. I think they really just do that to introduce her as the main antagonist and show that she just is in it for herself because she's even attacking Mr. Sir.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not really much, just showing off how evil she is. That's about it.
Well, you need scenes like that, but I just think that it's developing. It's like in a video game like My Player, you have all the stats.
Yeah.
And they just developed everything the same amount and didn't develop the main character more than the other characters.
Yeah, for how little like of a set there is in the desert, Stanley just is going to point A to point B, something happens, something happens, something happens.
Which in the book, are Zero, the Warden, and Stanley like main characters? Because I could see that if that was the case.
I think it's just about Stanley, really.
Okay, then why are... He's developed as much as anyone else is in this movie as a character.
Yeah. Armpit has an arc in this movie.
Yeah, he does.
Armpit has more of an arc than Stanley does.
Yeah.
Tim Blake Nelson keeps calling him his main name. He says, no, call me Armpit. I'm not Theodore. End of the movie, he says, Shia, can you mail this letter to my mom? Tell her I'm sorry. It's from Theodore.
Yeah.
That's a cute little arc for a side character, but Stanley didn't even have anything like that. He's the perfect kid. He's just the perfect kid.
Is that a thing you think where in books it works better? If it's just like, you can make a book about like a tying story, and if you try to do it with a movie, it's just not as compelling because people generally in movies want a character to latch onto.
Yeah, because this isn't. You're not really latching onto the characters. You're latching onto the story and how the characters are tied together.
Well, I latch on the Shia LaBeouf because I like Shia LaBeouf, not because the movie's like, hey, he's cool.
I'm not like, whoa, Stanley's cool. I'm like, oh, Shia LaBeouf is cool in 2003 when I was watching Even Stevens.
Yeah, my main characterization of him is that he absorbs way too much abuse from everyone around him,
and he's okay with it. John Boyd, I liked well, we said it before. He was the best part of the movie. I think character acting wise, he was definitely the best part
for sure. But like, he could have very easily stood up for himself at the end or something, and that would have been enough.
Yeah, and he didn't.
Yeah,
that would have been perfect because he's taking shit all the movie.
X-Ray could have been mean to him the whole time, and he could have stood up to him at the end.
Yeah, even when they're on the top of the mountain or whatever, and Zero's like, I stole the shoes that got you. He's like,
yeah.
Get a little mad or something. Like, get a little pissed off. Like, I don't know. It would have been cool if he stood up for himself there instead of just the whole situation unraveling in front of him.
Yeah, we'll get to that when we get to the end. I don't really like the way everything concludes entertainment-wise as a movie, but we'll get there when we get there. Is there anything else for here? We get the intro to the camp. Visually, it's just like a shack in the desert. There's not much there.
Yeah, it's just nothing.
Yeah, there's not. I like how they keep calling milk cartons canteens.
I think it's like a desert western thing. It's just your thing is your canteen with you, your water supply.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess.
It does make it a neo-western of sorts.
They turn down water for children as a punishment, which is definitely illegal. But it's fine because later on in the movie they're like, is this up to code? So I guess it can be illegal.
It is illegal. Everything they're doing at that camp is very illegal.
All right, so let's keep going. Let's build a splooge machine.
Let's build a splooge machine.
Yeah. So Camp Green Lake's history is revealed in a series of flashbacks as a flourishing lakeside community in the 19th century. Kate romantically bonds with Sam, an African-American onion merchant who helps her repair her schoolhouse. When the wealthy Charles Trout Walker discovers the two kissing, he spreads word of jealousy around the town, and the citizens burn down the schoolhouse and murder Sam. That makes sense.
Oh, it's her splooge that...
Yeah, it's Patricia
and his
Arquette's
onions.
His onions and her splooge make the best drink ever. The best fermented drink. It's like a kombucha type of drink that they're making.
Yeah, how Mommy and Daddy, how was I born? Well, I took my onion and I dipped it in her splooge.
Then it ferments for 9 months, and then
we took off the mass, like the bacterial mass.
Oh God!
And then you were alive.
In retaliation, Kate becomes an outlaw, hunting down Walker's men, earning the nickname by kissing the men she murders. As her legend is established, Green Lake goes into decline due to the lake's sudden evaporation. I feel like that would take hundreds of years to happen.
Probably. I mean, that probably took like 2 because she died out. She killed herself out there.
Unprecedented. One of Kate's victims is Elia's son, Stanley Yelnats Sr., who is robbed of his chest of gold. And why does he have national treasure?
He does. I don't think he had the treasure. He might have had some kind of treasure, but I think that's where she stored the rest of her treasure.
Who was robbed of his chest of gold.
Why did he have gold?
And left to defend for himself in the desert. Years later, Kate has a final confrontation with the now destitute walkers. Before allowing herself to be lethally bitten by a lizard, she boasts neither Walker nor his descendants will find her buried fortune. No one will find it. All right, so that's that section. All right, so first, series of flashbacks. I think this is where the narrative of a film, which is interesting when we talked about the cue card production stuff, where it's like, I don't know. I'd be afraid anytime you're making a family movie that you're just like, now here's this, and now here's that, now here's this.
When you say the whole backstory, I kind of just wish that was like a 15-minute segment of the movie.
To open it, maybe?
Open it, or just like, there's like a real thing that they break down with the camp's hit. Like something happens and it segues to that to give background on the camp and why it's like that.
Well, to compare it to a movie we did a couple weeks ago, National Treasure, that movie opens with the 5-minute monologue to establish the Freemason treasure, which notably no one cares about why or what. We want to see Nick Cage searching for the treasure. Then we get there, we never really go back to like flashbacks.
Yeah.
This could have established a similar thing to where the first 10 minutes of the movie, monologues, stuff like that, and then it opens with the shoes and Shia and then goes forward.
But the first 5 minutes of this movie was something about Madame Zeroni, wasn't it? It wasn't necessarily... It was some backstory.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I just think they needed to just have a concise moment where they maybe, in the beginning, they explain the Madame Zeroni curse.
Yeah.
Then when he gets to Camp Green Lake, maybe after he meets Sigourney... then they can talk about. She starts talking about the backstory, and then it fades into maybe a 10-minute flashback of everything that happens here.
Almost like a more traditional movie. It's a little. I'm honestly asking it to hold your hand a little more in some ways like that, because I just don't like the constant cross. Like you just getting ingrained in a part of the story, and then it switches up the time frame and all the actors and what you're watching completely.
I agree. But like we said before, I think it's cross-cutted throughout the whole movie. Because if there was let's say 20 minutes of the movie was all of the backstory, all of the history stuff we needed, then the hour and 20 minutes were left is just straight camp, pretty much. And I think they were trying to avoid it just being things at the camp like that. It
could make both parts more boring, you're saying?
I think
do we just have a boring narrative would be my question.
I think it would make the Holes part, like them at the camp, way more boring if it was not segmented like that. But I think it would make the backstory maybe a little more, not compelling, but everything's understood easier.
Yeah.
Because I don't mind the backstory, because I honestly like those scenes. I don't like how they're presented in the film, but I like it though.
I like the death of the onion merchant and the I can fix that. I like that stuff. I don't necessarily like when she's like a outlaw killing people.
Yeah, I do think it's kind of cool. I didn't really realize it when we watched the movie that she kisses people when she kills him because she kissed Dule.
Yeah,
and he was killed because of that. So now she's just doing that in his remembrance. Mm-hmm. I think that's cool. I just think they needed. I don't know. They could have glazed over that as well. It's just hard to get I don't know. It seemed weird that she was a meek school teacher. Yeah, and then overnight she's the biggest outlaw,
badass, killer. And also, she kills herself in such a visceral way for a children's movie. What the fuck was that?
I said that when we were watching. If she legitimately poisoned herself with venom of something, she'd be having a seizure and foaming from the mouth and
Well, they can't do that in a PG movie. So they have a very violent scene, but it's unrealistic because it has to be.
Yeah, just the CGI lizard bites her and she goes.
She guides it to her veins. It is ridiculous. And maybe I'm just squeamish about veins and stuff, but I don't know.
No, that was a little gross. It was a weird way for that character to kind of I don't know, just go away. They needed to develop that character more, but it's not about her. So I'm saying in the book, it probably makes a little bit more sense her change because they can focus on her more because she's almost like a secondary. I'd almost say she's the second main character.
That's what I was
kind of thinking about
earlier. Because,
it's her treasure and everything is tied around her, pretty much.
Yeah, it starts at, it starts even before her in Latvia. But then most of the reasons of why things are happening in the Holes timeline are because of her.
Yeah, it's not raining there. because they killed Dule.
They're digging holes in the desert because of her.
And she robbed Stanley's great-grandfather there.
Yeah. That's why... And then if she is one of the main characters, I don't think she's in it enough.
That's what I'm saying. I think maybe they needed to focus more on her in a... I thought
That's why I'd be interested to read the book, just because, like, how they got here as the screenplay.
Yeah. It makes me wonder, like, if it was, like, 1A, 1B, they're following a past timeline and Shia's timeline at the same time, I could see that being done kind of nicely.
Yeah.
But it would have to be,
but then it's a 1A, 1B, 1C, kind of, instead.
Yeah.
Because the Madame Zeroni stuff is spliced through as well multiple times.
Yeah, because I got Zero is the third main character. It's more about their families and their lineage.
Yeah, it's like all... Yeah, instead of the actual...
person who's around in the present day.
Yeah, it's not really about Sigourney Weaver, Zero, or Shia LaBeouf.
No.
They are just the ones that end the story.
Yeah.
But most of the story is told...
through them.
Yeah, but it's so passive as well. I don't know.
The stuff going on at the camp, it was just like, maybe we spent an hour and 15 minutes at the camp in total, and it was just something happening, bad people are bad, they're mistreating the kids.
The Shia.
Until, like, yeah, everyone's mean. It's like not much really going on.
Turns on a dime when he...
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just ridiculous. Okay, let's move along here. In the present, Pendanski mocks Zero, whose real name is Hector Zeroni, but the latter strikes Pendanski with a shovel and flees. After some deliberation, Stanley searches for Hector. The two have difficulty surviving in the desert without water. Eventually, Stanley carries the ailing Hector up the mountain, where they find wild field of onions and a source of water. Helping them regain strength, while at the same time, Stanley unknowingly fulfills his ancestors' promise to the fortune teller and breaks the curse. While camping on the mountain, Hector tells Stanley that he stole Rick Fox's sneakers. It says sneakers, but they're cleats. And threw them over the bridge to evade the police, only for them to inadvertently hit Stanley's head. So, here we get the Lord of the Rings ripoff where they climb Mount Doom. But no. So, what's your takes on this?
I kind of wish all of the plot lines got resolved in the same thing. Like, now that I'm thinking about it,
you're saying?
Like, I wish, not that they'd find the treasure on the top of the mountain, but I think it would have been so epic if he's carrying Zero, who's, like, kind of almost dying, to the top of the hill. He gets him there, places him down, it starts raining then.
Yeah.
They start eating onions. I think that would
laughing and being happy.
I think that would be way cooler, honestly. But they separated... This is what... There's too much going on with these lineages of the family, because they resolve the curse, and then there's this other thing they have to resolve.
I know. It's so convoluted.
There's this other 100-year-old thing just out there nearby them.
Which is why I am interested to read the book, because, like, is the book convoluted, or is it way better?
I read the book when I was in middle school, and I remember liking it a lot. So
I do really like the full circle nature of how he's unknowingly breaking the curse.
Yeah, I
started
love
to
that.
make my heart feel a little warm.
And we were watching, and I remembered what happened. I didn't want to tell you because I wanted you to remember it on your own. But I was like, when you think about that in your head, and what actually happens in the movie, I think in my head I thought it would be better.
Do you think it's interesting that he unknowingly does it? Did
Yes.
you even have a part of it where he knowingly would do it?
He might know, honestly. Because they tell the Madame Zeroni story at, like, the dinner table with him. So he's doing it inadvertently because he's just helping his friend.
Yeah.
But, I don't know, maybe a little piece of him has to know.
Yeah, I do really like how the callback to the onions and the onion merchant. I love just saying that.
It's like the only area where the onions are growing, where there's vegetation at all.
Yeah, and I can't believe this isn't in the little plot synopsis that I copied, but they didn't mention the splooge.
Oh, yeah, that just seems... Splooge really was kind of a nothing thing in the movie.
And I will say, other than just the overshot of the holes, it is the coolest visual of the movie, is her turned over little boat.
Yeah, that is
under
cool, in the middle of the desert.
all the preserves.
I remember that being more of a thing in the movie.
I thought they were in there for mad long.
I thought they were eating splooge for like a minute.
Yeah.
But it's like they open it up.
It's one quick scene.
Yeah, he says, "Oh, that's pretty good. How many you got left?" And he's like, "That's it."
Yeah.
And then it just comes back at the end.
Returning to the camp, Stanley and Hector investigate the hole where Stanley found the lipstick and discover a chest before they are discovered by Walker, Mr. Sir, and Pendanski. They soon realize that Walker, who is Trout's granddaughter, is using the inmates to search for Barlow's treasure. The adults are unable to steal the chest from the boys as the hole was swarmed with lizards, which do not bite Stanley and Hector due to the onions they ate earlier. That's sick. I didn't know that.
Does he mention something? Dule probably mentioned something about keeps the lizards away. like, eat your onions, kids. It keeps all the venomous lizards away from you.
Okay, I do like that then. I do like how Armpit later on is like, you smell like onions. Because he's also the one that smells like shit.
I thought...
You smell like shit, Armpit.
I almost don't like how it's because they ate onions. I kind of like just thinking it's because of the destiny and the fate.
I thought it was because of the destiny and the fate.
Yeah, I thought the lizards were...
They were pure of heart.
They're pure of heart, and they lived the land. They know the destiny. It was passed down with their generations.
I agree with that. But I guess it's because of the onions. Let's see. The adults, puzzled, wait for the lizards to kill the boys. It's a sick sentence. The next morning, the Attorney General and Stanley's lawyer arrive, accompanied by the Texas Rangers. Oh, hey. I misread that earlier. It's by Texas Rangers, not the baseball team.
No, it's by the Texas Rangers. They were in hats. They were in baseball hats and cleats and pinstripes, weren't they?
No.
I know.
Oh, okay. I thought you're fucking with me. You actually got... Okay.
They had big-ass cowboy hats on.
The chest Stanley found is discovered to have belonged to his namesake great-grandfather, Walker, Mr. Sir, who is in truth a paroled criminal named Marion Savello, and Pendanski, who is impersonating a doctor, are all arrested for violating various child labor laws. Stanley and Zero are released, and it rains in Green Lake for the first time in over a century. The Yelnats family obtains the chest, which contains jewels, deeds, the Freemason treasure from National Treasure, promissory notes, which they share with Hector, who uses it to hire a private investigator to find his missing mother, and both families live a life of financial ease as neighbors.
I don't mind the ending. I just don't like...
I really like It Rains in Green Lake for the first time in over a century. That just makes my heart warm.
I wish it rained when they fucking broke the curse, but I guess I don't really understand how the treasure is tied to the rain, other than she died there.
I don't think any of the mystical aspect of this movie holds up to any.
I think the onions and the top of the mountain had more to do with why it didn't rain than it did that. But that doesn't necessarily matter too much.
Yeah, I do love when all the boys are happy in the rain.
That is very nice.
Because earlier in the movie, they're looking at the cloud. That sick time lapse where they say, "Look at that cloud," and they stand there for 4 hours. But yeah, it's the end of the film. So I don't like how. I love climbing up the mountain. I love eating the onions. I think it should have been more of an active. If you're gonna have like another second wind conclusion, it's got to be more active. Yeah, and not like, oh, I'm sitting in lizards and I'm waiting for my lawyer to come tomorrow.
And everyone just happened to come at that time.
Yeah,
and I don't like how the lizards they just moved and the lizards came off of them.
Yeah, maybe she gets hurt by the venom that she was flexing earlier. She accidentally.
Yeah, maybe a lizard. I don't know, fucking jumps at her and she goes, and then she scratches her leg. I don't know. Something like that.
Or something more active, like something embedded in the writing of the film that like Caveman and Zero make a small change and they're heroic. They're heroic in the sense of being brave by sitting in there with the fucking lizards, but like, I don't know. It's just not visually intriguing to watch Shia LaBeouf sit with lizards, some of which are CGI.
Yeah, and they're like smiling and stuff. They're not even necessarily scared. Like they're scared in the beginning, but then the longer they're there, they're just looking at the lizards, they're like kind of smiling a little bit. And it's like, they're not. I don't know. I just wish something was happening other than the murderer saying, "Oh, let's just wait here and let the lizards kill them."
Yeah. What was it? The adults, puzzled, wait for the lizards to kill the boys. So I wrote down, if you could change one thing about the movie, what would it be? And I would make the climax more first-hand action instead
more
of
epic too.
Yeah. I don't need explosions. I would just like something more visually intriguing than sitting in a hole. I do understand that this movie is called Holes and it's about holes, but I don't know.
I think the movie's all about filling in holes, George.
Whoa.
Not actually digging them.
Well, we could end the episode. I just have 2 more points, though.
Yeah.
Did your opinion of this film change on this rewatch?
Yeah, I liked it more than I thought. I feel like we are kind of complaining about it and things we didn't like, but I didn't have as much of a reverence towards the film thinking back on it as a lot of other people do. I was expecting it to be mid, and it was just one step above that for me. One little small step above mid.
Yeah, I think I'm a little reversed. I think I was expecting one small step above mid, and I got mid, so I was like... Ew.
It was good. I thought it was good enough, honestly. Good enough to watch on the show. I had a good time. I was entertained.
Oh, yeah.
I was actually very entertained watching that movie.
Yes, so was I.
Like, when we watched Disturbia, I was not entertained.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Favorite part of the movie is definitely Jon Voight. I wish Shia had a little more to do.
Wish the kids... I don't know. I just don't really like the dynamic with the kids. It's like,
well, if we spend more time with the kids, they wouldn't just randomly be nice to Shia one day for seemingly no reason. They could develop a reason, and he could have an arc. And that's my main issue with the film is it's unfocused on developing like one main narrative. I understand it's a movie about 3 narratives, but that's just, hey, I'm just the reviewer out here, so...
Shia doesn't need to be developed based on how he is in the beginning of the movie. It's really... It just seems like the curse is the development.
Yeah, the movie's about the curse being lifted. Not the curse of Shia LaBeouf being lifted, the curse of the family being lifted.
Yeah, because it helps everybody. It benefits the dad. The curse is broken, and something accidentally falls in his shoe stew, and then it makes it not smell anymore.
I love that. I love that as well.
I do like that, too. I think it's silly. I kind of wish there was more of that Henry Winkler dynamic, but yeah, I just like it because it's Henry Winkler, and I liked how the apartment looked. It looked cool with all the shoes.
Yeah, that actually was a good visual when we were talking about
I like that
visually intriguing things earlier. And the last thing I have is this Mandela effect with Splooge that occurred to me yesterday. I always thought that the Splooge in the film was like a peach beverage of sorts, like a smoothie.
Yeah.
We watched the film. It's shoe cleaner. It's shoe deodorant.
Yeah. They mentioned Splooge twice.
Yeah.
They drink it. Zero says, I call it Splooge.
Yeah.
Shia says, pretty good. Then they move on. End of the movie, Rick Fox is doing a commercial for shoe spray.
Yeah. And it's called Splooge. So, well, it's called Spooge, actually, but it is Splooge. And I don't know. I always just thought it...
Splooge.
Kind of just blew... Oh, it's Splooge?
It's actually Splooge.
Oh, shit.
We're just saying Splooge.
I don't know what it is, but I just wish that it was... I don't wish anything, actually. I was just so surprised. Yeah. My memory of the thing was not the thing. It was a legitimate Mandela effect for me.
I don't remember that scene with him being in a commercial. I thought they were drinking at the pool party, drinking Splooge.
So did I.
And I thought there was a scene where all the kids at camp were at a pool party.
Wait, X-Ray and them weren't at the party?
Maybe they were.
I think they probably were.
Okay. I thought there was like a scene. I don't know. They probably were, but I thought they were drinking Splooge hanging out. Like,
I'm glad that you had the same memory that I did, and I would love to see if you all do, especially you, Cobb. But, yeah. That's all I have here for holes.
Yeah. That's all I got, too.
Hopefully we didn't leave anything... hopefully we didn't... hopefully we plug the plot holes, like with a shovel.